young Padawans. This one is for you. These are for my beginners. I hope you're ready. We have some Jedi tricks for you. This is for my Messiahs, my Brandos, my Mattais, my Jacobs, my Josiahs, my godson. These are for my Dalian. Dalian, you're not quite a Padawan anymore, but still for you. All right, these are for my, of course, my Lincolns and my Talias, my Anayas. We are preparing you, my Kennedys, my community. This is for you. We need to get our basics down. So we're going to go over a couple of things to really nail down how to play the game of chess, which it's a lot of things that go into this, but we're going to have some fun with it. Just some basics today. As you know, with chess, we use both our left and our right side of our brain. We're going to be using our minds, our critical thinking, our analytical skills, mental discipline, problem solving, creative thinking, and a lot more. Obviously, we are going to be strategizing here, mastering the board, learning how a few of the pieces move. So let's jump into it. First of all, we need to know and understand what this board is all about. You have 64 squares, 32 green, 32 white. We see letters, we see numbers, and yes, a bunch of the green and white squares. There are actually 5 components of the chessboard. 5 components of the chessboard that we must understand, because the pieces that we're going to learn about, they attack these squares and they move along these lines that we're going to talk about. So we have, I'll just break it down in a song. We have files, ranks, center, rim, diagonal lines. Files, ranks, center, rim, diagonal lines. Say it with me. Files, ranks, center, rim, diagonal lines. One more time. Files, ranks, center, rim, diagonal lines. This is how it breaks down. So we have letters and numbers on the chessboard. Letters up top, numbers, letters. Each letter represents what we call a file. This would be file A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. 8 of them. Then we have the ranks. Ranks go horizontally side to side. Files go vertically up and down. The ranks go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so those are the files that go vertically up and down. The ranks that go side to side, side to side. So we said files, ranks, center. What is the center? This is the center of the board. These 4 precious squares. Whoever controls the middle controls the game. So this is the center of the square, and the center can also expand to these outside squares right here. But these 4 squares are the ones we're going to focus on. Files, ranks, center, rim. What is the rim? The rim is simply this outer part of the board. That would be rank 8, file H, rank what? Rank 1, and file what? File A. That's the rim. So we said files, ranks, center, rim, diagonal lines. The diagonal line, this is the line that breaks straight through the middle. They call this the fianchetto right here. Cut straight down the middle of the board. These are our diagonal lines. Look at these diagonal lines. Follow them out. All right? These are all the diagonal lines, and the pieces that we're going to talk about today move on these files, ranks, and diagonal lines. Okay, so we're only going to talk about 3 pieces. We shall talk about, first, the rook and the bishop. The rook and the bishop. In case you didn't know, the rook and the bishop did grow up together. Yes, it's a true story. They were best friends. Hung out together. They did homework together. They studied together. They ate ice cream together. They did everything together. They read books. They played PlayStation. They did everything. They were best friends. And of course, you know the story. The bishop, he just really admired the rook. He wanted to be like the rook. He thought the rook was really cool. The rook was popular. He hung out with the cool kids. He was just, he's a cool guy. Everybody liked the rook. So the bishop said, man, I kind of want to be like the rook. The rook had this amazing ability to move across the board He can go up the board like this, down the board like this. He can go to the side of the board like this. So up, down, and side to side. He had the ability to move from a white square to a green square to a white square. And he could just move across the board. He was just a smooth dude. Bishop was like, man, I like the way that rook moves. It's just so cool and fluent. He could just go around. The bishop, however, was just as cool. He just didn't know it yet. But he was given one very important rule. A rule that must never be broken. You see, a long time ago, the king sat down with the bishop and he looked him square in his eyes and he said, "You listen here, Mr. Bishop dude." He said, "No matter what you do, man, you must never, ever, 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 ever leave your color." So the bishop had one very important rule. That rule was to stay on his color. What color square is he on now? You can see he's on the green square. Well, he must stay on that green square. Sure, he can move across the board as far as he wants, like this. Whee! He can move backwards like this. Yay! But no matter what happens, he must stay on the what? The green square. All right, well, what happened was the bishop one day decided, you know what, this whole moving on the green thing is not working for me. I'm going to move like the rook. See, that's a problem. He had a gift. He had a gift to move on the bishop. He could do something that the rook couldn't do. He just didn't realize how beautiful his gift was. He wanted to go and be like somebody else. Bad decision. There's only one you in the world. Be you. Nobody else can. Everybody else is taken. Be you, bishop. But the bishop had to learn the hard way. He decided he wanted to be like the rook. So he started moving up the board, down the board, to the side of the board. Yeah, no. The rook happened to catch him in the act, and the rook was not a happy camper, my friends. You see, have you read about the rook? He makes all the pieces look. As he moves across the board, he slips, he slides, he dips, he glides, and the king can't move past his sword. Now one day he was sliding down the way. He caught the bishop trying to steal his moves. He cracked up on his head. This is what he said: "You only move in a diagonal groove, dude." The bishop cried. He tried to run and hide because that crack hurt his pride. So he said to the rook, "I didn't mean to be a crook. I like that up, down, side to side." That's how he moves. He moves up, down, side to side. I said up, down, side to side. Say what? Up, down, side to side. I said up, down, side to side. Let me hear you. Up, down, side to side. I said up, down, side to side. He moves up, down, side to side. I said up, down, side to side. That's how the rook moves. So the rook can move up the board, down the board, to the side, as far as he wants. Can he move up the board like this? Yes. Can he move down the board like this? Yes. Can he move to the side of the board like this? Yes. Can he move diagonal like this? No. The bishop does not move. I'm sorry, the rook does not move diagonal. That's the bishop's job. He had a beautiful job if he would have just accepted it. But he eventually did. He learned. He just had to learn the hard way. Some of us got to learn the hard way. You know. But the bishop, what happened when the rook tapped him on his head? This is what he said. He only moves in a diagonal groove. You guys can thank Sister Niche for that beautiful song on how to piece move. She was the one who came up with that. Okay. So we know that the rook can move up the board, down the board. He can move to the side of the board. We know that the bishop must stay on his color, and he can move along the green lines. Here's a question for you. All right, understanding how the rook moves, understanding how the bishop moves, you should be able to answer this question. The rook can move up, down, side to side. The bishop can move diagonal on the green squares. On the green only. His twin brother was born on the white. He can move on the white squares. I'm putting up a bunch of stars here on the board. All right? Bunch of stars on the board. Now, here's here's where you put on your thinking caps. Critical thinking, analytical skills, mental discipline, problem solving, creativity, concentration, pattern recognition, and your memory. We talked about it at the beginning. You're going to be utilizing both the left and right side of your brain. That's right, even intuition. I want you to feel what's going on this chessboard. Now look, my young Padawans. The rook can move up, down, side to side. The bishop can move diagonal on the greens. All of these stars, or most of them, are under attack by either the rook or the bishop. Some are not under attack at all. But my question is, yes, some of the stars can be captured by the rook and the rook only. Some of the stars can be captured by the bishop and the bishop only. But which star is under attack by the rook and the bishop? The rook is shooting his laser up and down and to the side. The bishop is shooting his laser diagonal on the green squares. Which star is under attack by both the rook and the bishop? Take a minute. All right, let's see. If you are really on top of it, you should be choosing this star right here. Why? The rook can move up the board and squish the star. Yes, he can do that. This bishop can move diagonal on the green squares and squish the star. Yes, he can do that. Let's look at these other stars. Yes, the rook can move to the side and capture that star, but the bishop cannot jump over these stars. If he doesn't move to the side, he cannot do that. Let's look at this star. Who's attacking this star? I'll wait. Who's attacking this star? The answer is nobody. This star is not under attack. The rook cannot move diagonal. The bishop does not move straight up. This star is not in danger. Let's look at this star. Who's attacking it? Based on what you just learned. Yes, the rook is attacking that star. The bishop cannot move to the side. This star is only under attack by the rook. You're doing good. Let's look at this star. Who's attacking it? Based on what we learned today, the rook moves up, down, side to side. The bishop moves diagonal on the green. Colby Cameron, you guys are young Padawans. You're getting a taste of this as well. Harris family, you'll be getting a taste of this. My young Padawans. All right, so look. This star is not under attack at all, right? The bishop cannot move down. The rook does not move diagonal. No danger. So we look at this star. Who's attacking it? You should all be saying the bishop. The bishop can move diagonal. But the rook cannot attack this star right now. All right, so we understand that the rook moves up, down, side to side, and the bishop moves in a diagonal groove. Dude. All right, very good. Last but not least, we're going to combine the powers of the rook and the bishop. And guess what you have? When you take the rook's power and you take the bishop's power and you combine them together, you have the power of the queen. Because the queen can move like the rook, and she has the ability to move like the bishop. So that means she moves up, down, side to side. I said up, down, side to side, and diagonal. Up, down, side to side. I said up, down, side to side, and diagonal. So the queen can move all directions. I ask people, how exactly does the queen move? And people say everywhere. Well, it can't move everywhere. It can't jump off the board like this. Whee! No. But the queen can move up, down, and side to side. Plus diagonal. That makes her a very, very powerful piece. The rook is worth 5 points. The bishop, depending on who you ask, you're going to get around 3. 3.5, sometimes 4. I say 3. Okay, so the rook, 5. Second in command, second most powerful piece. Queen most powerful, 9. Rook, 5. Bishop, 3. Queen, from the center of the board, is attacking a lot of squares. And I'm going to get to this. I actually want to start you off with something a little more simple. So if the queen is here, based on what we learned, we know that she's attacking all of the squares above her, all of the squares to the side, and all of the squares diagonal, splitting up the board. So I ask you, how many squares are under attack by the queen? Simply count those squares that my light touched. Go. All right. The correct answer is 21, but let's count and make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. There are 21 squares under attack by that queen. So if you have this master and I put this queen in the middle of the board, you can tell me now how many squares are under attack by the queen. Dig in. All right. Let's count them out. Here we go. I already know there's 7 here. So I know there are 8 squares in a file. The queen is sitting on one of them. That gives me 7 left. 7 there. I know that there are 7 there. We're at 14 already. I know that this is a complete row right here with 8 squares. So that's, queen is still sitting on one. That's another 7. We're at 21 squares. And then I'm going to look at this one. So we have 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. If you said 27, you were correct. All right. And if you were correct, we do like to give you special claps like that. Again. All right. Last question for my Jedis in training here. If I were to put up these 2 stars, and I asked you how many of the stars were under attack by the queen. 2 stars on the board, but how many are under attack by the queen? What would you say? Knowing that the queen can move and attack anything above her, below her, to the side of her, diagonal to her. And I'm going to follow my light. Always follow the light. Here we go, so here we go. The queen can attack all of these squares. Take the path of the light. Or are you one of those dark siders? Alright. Which side of the force are you going to use here, folks? How many stars are under attack by the queen? Is it 0, 1, or 2? The correct answer is 1, and it's this star right here. The queen can move above and capture the star. This star is not quite under attack by the queen. She can move to the side, but she won't get to it. She can move diagonal, but she'll go right past it. She won't get to it. It would take the queen 2 moves to get to the star. She can move here, and on her next move she can capture it. She can move here, and on her next move she can capture it. There are many different patterns, many different ways to get to that star. But the bottom line is it's going to take her 2. All right, final question. If you understand the queen, you should answer this question correctly. This is it, folks. How many stars are under attack by the queen? Look up, look down, look side to side. When you follow those diagonal lines out, follow them all the way out and stay on the color. Concentration skills. Concentration skills. What is your final answer? It should be, let's go, here we go. Anything this way? Nope. Above and below? Nope. To the side? Yes. There's 1. We're at 1 so far. Let's go diagonal. We're at 2. Let's go diagonal the other way. There are indeed 3 stars under attack by the queen. This star is not under attack. This star is not under attack. The answer is no. The answer is no. The answer is no. 3 stars under attack. All right, so we looked at a few basics on how to move the queen, how to move the rook, and the bishop. Which piece moves diagonal? Bishop. Which piece moves up, down, side to side, and diagonal? queen. And which piece moves up, down, side to side? I said up, down, side to side. Rook. Let's go. You guys are halfway there.
Gather round, chess people, that's it, you're still living, and get on down to the old chess rhythm. It's a slower kind of move, cause that's just me. To learn how I move would behoove me. So when I'm in check, I run block or attack. If you wanna win the game, it's the king you must track. King of the board, you didn't know, really? To not protect the king, now that would be silly. I move one square anywhere. I move one square anywhere. They call me sire, oh lord, king of the board. Anywhere, one square.